A man who walks many paths leaves his footprints on many trails. Revan, the prodigal knight, the Lord of the Sith, is perhaps in-universe one of the most famous names within all of Star Wars. His admiration throughout the galaxy stemming from all places between the light and the dark. Revan was a powerful Force user to an unnatural degree, but what truly separated him from the rest was his ability and willingness to learn. Revan submitted himself to the teachings of all he could acquire, never narrowing his view on the Force to one interpretation. Savior, conqueror, hero, villain. You are all things, Revan, and yet you are nothing. In the end, you belong to neither the light nor darkness. You will forever stand alone. Following his death, the memory of this dark side warrior and Knight of the Light lived on, and in this video we will discuss what he left behind, and the impact his lessons had on other Star Wars characters throughout the generations. While many attribute Lord Bane of the Sith with the creation of the Rule of Two, this is only partially true. Thousands of years before Bane, Revan witnessed the ferocity and greed of the Sith Order. He witnessed their desire for power above all else. He witnessed those that faltered in their quest for power losing track of the ultimate goal, falling to the wayside, and eventually being destroyed. He witnessed others become too fixated on power and become blind to their enemies, and overall potentially weakening the Sith Order by keeping secrets and abilities to themselves. As another Sith Lord would state, all those who have power fear to lose it. Revan noted that if the Sith did not change their way, they would continue down this path of destruction. However, he also noted there was a way to remedy this. Revan suggested in his holocron, which Bane would later claim, that if the number of the Sith were to be drastically reduced, there may not only be a chance for the Sith's survival, but for them to flourish. While Revan never personally enacted the Rule of Two, he laid the groundwork for its success. Shortly following his death, the response was amazing on both sides of the coin. On one hand, you had the Republic erecting statues to Revan's honor and writing fables of his great deeds, and then on the other hand, you had the Sith, who would pass down the mask he claimed from Mandalore for generations, with it being considered a huge honor to receive it. One Sith even went as far to adopt Revan's title of Darth, although the texts in which he learned of Revan were filled with misinformation, causing him to take the name Revan instead of the correct Revan. Revan's Sith holocron was among Darth Bane's most prized possessions, and when it began to fail due to its age and poor materials, Bane was deeply concerned that the teachings would die with it. Because of this, Bane was prompted to embody the teachings of Revan and adopt his past beliefs as his own, serving as a walking memory to the Sith's brilliance. True power can only come to those who embrace the transformation. There can be no compromise. Mercy, compassion, loyalty, all these things will prevent you from claiming what is rightfully yours. Those who follow the dark side must cast aside these conceits. Those who do not, those who try to walk the path of moderation, will fail, dragged down by their own weakness. Those who accept the power of the dark side must also accept the challenge of holding on to it. By its very nature, the dark side invites rivalry and strife. This is the greatest strength of the Sith. It culls the weak from our order, yet this rivalry can be also our greatest weakness. The strong must be careful, lest they be overwhelmed by the ambitions of those working beneath them in concert. Any master who instructs more than one apprentice in the ways of the dark side is a fool. In time, the apprentices will unite their strengths and overthrow the master. It is inevitable, axiomatic. That is why each master must have only one student. In a nutshell, commit yourself fully to the way of power or be consumed by what little you obtain. Revan's stance would also be pondered over by those in the middle, concerned with their state in the Force. However, Revan's texts speak of the difficulty as one caught between the light and the dark, and why he was such an anomaly to usually unflinching stances. Revan learned from his place in the middle, being described as a blank slate, accepting all aspects of the Force, something very few have achieved, and arguably none close to the level of Revan. I am Darth Revan, Dark Lord of the Sith. Those who use the dark side are also bound to serve it. To understand this is to understand the underlying philosophy of the Sith. The dark side offers power for power's sake. You must crave it, covet it. You must seek power above all else, with no reservation or hesitation. The Force will change you. It will transform you. Some fear this change. The teachings of the Jedi are focused on fighting and controlling this transformation. That is why those who serve the light are limited in what they accomplish. These studies by Revan would inform those that belong on the plane between the light and the dark, paving the way for the gray area of the Force. When Bane found Revan's holocron, the knowledge showed him not only how to build the new Sith, but destroy the old, gifting Bane the necessary tools to utterly annihilate the Sith, the details of which I will save for a future video. Revan's holocron revealed so much, including information Bane himself feared the potential of. Eventually, Revan's holocron did fail, but Bane was unwilling to let its teachings completely die. In order to preserve the knowledge, Bane transferred what he could onto the Telos holocron, a sort of ultimate Sith holocron. This holocron was imbued with the knowledge of the most legendary masters of the dark, with it even including texts from the early Sith Empire, and greats like Naga Sadow and the Dark Jedi exiles banished to the unknown regions by the Jedi. Bane thought it appropriate Revan be allowed to join the true Sith Masters, with his teachings being placed within the holocron. Eventually, even Lord Sidious would receive the holocron, learning of Revan and his genius. Following the collapse of the Empire, the holocron was deemed too dangerous, and was locked away by the Jedi in their new temple, under the command of Grand Master Luke Skywalker. After much thought, Luke eventually allowed one of his Order's best to study it, believing it may one day save them, but fearing its power, as if one with the necessary power came into its possession, it would grant them near limitless knowledge of the dark side. The last known location of the Telos holocron and Revan's teachings were on the Jedi Temple on Ossus. Beyond simply his advancements and studies, Revan's descendants were all extremely powerful, with Satil Shan from his line becoming Grand Master of the Jedi Order, although other generations were known to butt heads with the Jedi. So that is the legacy of Revan, the Great Jedi, and Lord of the Sith. Not only did he shape the galaxy when living, but arguably more so after he was gone. It was in large due to his advancements that the Sith rose as far as they did. So tell me what you think. What are your thoughts on Revan and the history he left behind? And out of curiosity, how do you perceive Revan? A Jedi who clawed himself out of the darkness? A Sith, eventually responsible for the regime of the Galactic Empire and the rule of two? Or as a blank slate, a man torn between the light and the dark, but someone who never broke? Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't yet, maybe consider subscribing to ensure you stay up to date with everything Star Wars related. If you have any lore topics or questions you want answered, do not hesitate to tweet them at me at StupendousWave on Twitter, or leave a comment and I will try my best to answer or make a full video dedicated to your topic. If you enjoyed, please leave a like, as it helps the channel out a great deal and I really appreciate it. Thanks again for watching. May the Force be with you, and have a great day.